It's going to be incredibly difficult for LGD to hold. I mean, they held that last push, but not really. Things just got a whole lot harder and worse for them. It wasn't a one fight for them. The goal graph gets uglier and uglier with all these fights, and next push coming from DK, they may not have an Aegis, but they may as well with all the items they picked up.
They'll have a little fun here. Super, he's picked up a Crystallis, working towards a Daedalus to call his own, and he'll find G. G could be in trouble, leaps away, but Super, under cover of Shadowblade, giving chase. G, got to find a way out. He'll TP here. Can he get away? It looks like he should be okay in the end, but the threat is there, and they can't really leave the base to farm. Not against the Kunkka with the Shadowblade.
No, Kunkka's always looking for these pickoffs, and that's something which is going to make it so difficult for LGD to come back from. Burning, well, he's not done farming. Finds a big creep wave as top of changes. Casual ultimate. Hand of God gets used.
Why not? You can spam it.
Yeah.
It's 30-second cooldown. Look at it already. Almost halfway cooldown.
Windrunner took some damage from neutrals, and that 100 HP needs to be healed back, LD.
I'm pretty sure RTK was screaming at QQQ because, well, that's what RTK does.
Ulti me, ASAP. I need them
heal me now. Heal me now. And QQQ's like, okay, no need to be a dick about it. Mid lane, they'll go in on Misery. Could be a decent fight for LGD, in fact, but the boat comes in. Super still alive, dishing out good damage. Hasn't found a kill just yet. Die on the run. How is he alive? Hand of God just used. That's what's keeping him back. He'll get sent home by QQQ. Great play from him. Burning comes in from the side. Side swipes, Brax, G, and now they're all on the run. And this could be the end.
The Chen heal was on cooldown. It almost led to CM's death. It just came off cooldown at the last possible second to save the Crystal Maiden.
Oh no, they're not done yet. They want Thabon. 1437 in trouble. Pulled back in. Beautiful lift. Doesn't matter. Still gonna drop. And DK, one of the teams that when you looked at LGD, even back in the G League, I think they mentioned that DK, they actually had a very low win rate against in scrims and struggle here in game one.
It was the only team they lost to in the G League before that grand finals. In the group stage, it was actually the funny thing, because LGD got first in their group, DK got knocked out in the group stage, but DK actually beat LGD, the team getting first in their group. Unfortunately for them, it was the only match they won in the group stage.
In game one, LGD just seemed completely figured out by DK. The movement was spectacular from QQQ. Burning, farmed well. Super didn't die, which was the main thing for him. Able to barely escape from that level 1 gank. You imagine maybe the game goes a bit differently if they find the kill there, but it didn't, and it doesn't. And now they're in trouble. Nice leap away from G. He'll pop his wand. He will live, but Burning's having a blast here. Drops the call down. No, actually doesn't. Not the call down, just the flat cannon. Godlike for him. Double kill for Burning. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Finally, LGD, they tap out. This game's been over for quite a while.
Yeah. 20k gold. I mean, it's like I said, 13, 40 minutes in when there was that big team wipe at the top tier 2 tower. A lot of teams were called GG then. LGD, they fought hard, and you've got to give it to them. They tried to claw their way back in this game, but every time they took a fight, DK were ready for them.
So you look at the draft. I thought LGD's draft was pretty good. I mean, the one thing is if you go for Slark, he's got to have a good start. Because, especially when you put him solo mid. Because if he doesn't, well, look at what Kunkka brings to the team fights later on. Torrent, Cleave, that does a lot of damage to everyone, and the boat. Slark just can't contribute that much. He's got to win his lane.
Yeah, they had the Slark, and then you have something like a Luna as well. Luna's a carry that is good for these early to mid-game pushes, not a good hero to play with from behind. That's where you want to have your Gyrocopter, your Lifestealer, your Lone Druid, something which sort of is a better comeback plan. Luna, when you have that bad start, it wasn't even Pycat playing poorly, because he more or less won his lane. He was farming decently enough, but you can't come back when your other lanes just don't work out as they did.
And LGD, the early smoke gank fails. That puts them behind. Efficient jungling from QQQ, just all the little things go in the way of DK. Some of it luck, some of it skill, and in the end, too much for LGD.
Yeah, so LGD, well, they've come back from a one-game loss before. They did it in their last DSL match up against Rattlesnake, so we'll see if they can do it here again. They're down a game against DK. Definitely a team, LGD, and we've seen them do so well in G League. They're here now in the DSL. $165,000 roughly in US dollars, 1 million RMB.
It's pretty petty.
It's a lot of prize money. Biggest prize pool after the International. We kept saying about G1 League, but DSL, like, we're just going to show them up.
Yeah, DSL, they're showing off, and so is DK. DK, they'll take this best of 3, game 1, convincingly at that. They're coming out party for the DSL, haven't played a match yet. LGD, they are 1-0. They took down Rattlesnakes in a 2-1 victory, but struggle here in game 1.
Yep, they struggle here in game 1, guys. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be live with game 2. We'll see if LG International can bounce back, take back the series, or if DK are going to comfortably take it 2-0. See you guys then.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's time for Game 2 of LGD International versus DK. The Dota 2 Super League Group B is heating up, and DK, off to a fast start, took Game 1 and took it very convincingly.
Yeah, they got off to a flying start. Nothing stood in their way, not even a very formidable LG International team. Second place in the G League. They've had some fantastic results since moving to China, since playing, scrimming from the same house and just living and playing together. But DK, well, it's DK.
LGD, they had that great kind of, I almost would have called a honeymoon run in the G League, but we haven't seen a dominant performance out of them since then. Can they put it together here? Their back's up against the wall. They are 1-0 in the group, but they lose this match. Suddenly you're 1-1, and you can be right back in the thick of things. We'll jump into the draft now. It is underway. LGD, what do they have in store for us? We saw last game, early roaming Visage Rubik combo, a little bit unusual. They went for that level in smoke gank. Generally, LGD is a team that really want to just win the game in the laning stage, and DK playing pretty defensively. Hard to do that against them.
Yeah, the way DK played just did not give the space there. LG International's try lane, while it didn't lose, it just kind of broke even. Didn't really accomplish enough, and then all in all, the game was just controlled by the roaming supports from Team DK. This time around, I think the most interesting thing to note is DK banned out the Wisp. Last game it was banned in the second stage. I think this game they decide we're up 1-0. We want to make sure that LGD don't pull off any sort of shenanigans against us. Let's just ban it in the first stage. DK also had the first pick, which means you can be a lot more liberal about what you ban since you're going to have first pick.
Let's see what LGD goes for here. Pycat's Lone Druid, something I would look towards because it gives them a really dominant laner. Sure, you had the Luna safe lane decent against Windrunner, can actually do well in that lane, but a Lone Druid here like that can just completely crush the lane, and that's something LGD didn't really have. They didn't completely crush either solo lane. Windrunner got leveled. Kunkka dodges a 3-man gank and does quite well mid.
Yeah, this time around, I think maybe we look towards LG and picking up the Lone Druid hero, which, as you mentioned, got ignored last game. Shadow Demon slips through as well, so maybe even it's LG who want to grab the Shadow Demon with a Kunkka, because I definitely think DK, after how well they did with Kunkka last game, will be quite happy to grab it up again.
I mean, LGD, they have shown that propensity to go for the early ganking lineups, the pressure lineups. Maybe even a Chen comes out here, something that can punish a Kunkka mid or any sort of melee mid in general, because they tend to be closer to the creep wave. We'll see what they go for. They'll wait and take their time on the second pick. Of course, there is a Magnus in the pool, something that neither team runs a whole lot, but still a strong hero in his own right. Visage the choice. They'll go Shadow Demon, they'll follow up with Visage, and, well, it's a strong laning combo, but not the best if you want to roam, which we saw they did in Game 1.
Yeah, and you can tell they've been sort of playing and just basing a lot of their picks and drafts off the LGD China team, because this is their two, I guess, staple supports now. LGD China love to have the Shadow Demon Visage. Normally they want some team fight with either the Kunkka, the Darkseer, and then something like a Spectre or Lone Druid as their carry hero. Lone Druid could easily be third picked here, can maybe be played in the off lane, maybe it's a safe lane sort, and then go with the offensive tri lane, but interesting that they grabbed the two supports as their first two picks.
We saw DK last game. They snapped up that Burning Gyrocopter. Will they go for it again? Burning, also known for his Lone Druid play. Maybe they'd even hold off on the carry. There is still a Magnus in the pool. There's things like Nature's Prophet. We've seen RTK play them.
Things like Crystal Maiden.
Darkseer. Yeah, Crystal Maiden.
Hey, Crystal Maiden, new top 3 picks, man.
I guess the Darkseer might be the big one here because LGD, they love to be aggressive, and often they run an aggressive tri-lane, and then Darkseer gets a 1v1 matchup, and he can easily dominate that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something to consider here. I think they either go Darkseer or Lone Druid and then get one of their two supports here. Otherwise, we look at, well, I guess last game they picked up their two supports with the last two picks.
If you're willing to run CM, she'll probably be there.
CM Chen last game, they've run CM Undying before. DK are a team who are like, yeah, we don't care. We'll just pick up whatever's left. Our support plays QQQ as well as Dai can just play anything. And Alchemist, so most likely for Burning.
Oh, Burning Alchemist. Now, often when we see Alchemist, we see Shadow Demon comboed with him. Great setup, but obviously that's an LGD, and we won't see it here, and I imagine this is where they go for that support. Even something like a Rubik is an option.
Yeah. If you don't pick up a support here, they're all the good ones being banned out.
Weaver.
Weaver gets picked up.
LGD don't have many stuns. They have Disruption. They have the Birds at level 6, but you know, you look at Weaver, Batrider, two very strong solos, and it's going to discourage LGD from running an aggressive tri-lane. If they do, well, they get the Lone Druid. So I do really like this because Lone Druid can beat the Weaver pretty heavily if you play the matchup well and if you're able to get to level 5 without dying.
I like the Lone Druid pick. The Weaver pick to me, I'm thinking, I don't know what DK is considering with this, because Weaver not going to be great against something like a safe lane Lone Druid, even if it was another hero like a Darkseer or something. He doesn't do well in those 1v1 matchups. He does okay up against a tri-lane because he can just survive, but DK should know it's unlikely LGD go for that tri-lane, and maybe we see Weaver something like a solo mid like RStars do, but then where does Batrider go? I guess the only thing DK can do to sort of make these lanes more normal is to run a Batrider in that 4th position in the jungle, but Even that looks
the
unexpected.
other option is run Weaver as your tri-lane farmer, Alchemist mid, which we've seen.
Okay.
Not something DK has done, but other
Yeah.
teams have, and would do decently against pretty much any hero. Just spam acid spray, sit back and farm, and then Batrider off lane, because Batrider is almost certainly their best matchup versus Lone Druid.
Yeah, I actually think that would be a really neat way to play this, because Weaver, against these kind of support heroes and with a Lone Druid in the game, his best fitting place is going to be in the tri-lane versus tri-lane.
And LGDN, they really want that aggressive tri-lane to work. They'll ban out the Undying here. This, I think, a very smart ban.
Yeah. Do they ban out the CM?
That's the question.
Oh, Rubik's still there, though. But CM, I mean, in some ways, CM is more powerful and potent in that tri-lane, because you just need the level 2. Then you have a nuke, well, two damage dealing nukes, one a slow, one a stun. Rubik, it's like, okay, he's just kind of your more passive defensive support.
The only issue with going CM is Grave Chill's got a pretty decent range, so does Disruption, and if you get caught, you will feed First Blood for sure. There's also options like Keeper of the Light if they don't feel they need control. That would kind of be your safer zoning support, and it gives them a lot of spam. It also fuels the Weaver Sakuchi spam. So LG did ban out the Chen, and another hero that, I mean, there's two ways to run it. We saw the kind of that defensive Chen that just farms a lot, protects the tri-lane, but the other way is what we saw teams like Alliance do. I think it was to Orange, where they just aggressively jungle the Chen and punish the safe lane Lone Druid.
Yeah, they go for the aggressive jungle only when they're sure that it's going to be that safe lane sword. But if you get that, it's fantastic. It's so powerful. You can just completely crush a hero like a Lone Druid in the safe lane, even if it's something like a Batrider in safe lane. Any of these safe lane solos, something like Pycat's Luna last game can get destroyed by that. So it sort of hints towards LGD definitely looking for a safe lane Lone Druid. What do you sort of look for the last hero for their trial with the Shadow Demon Visage, though?
They went to Darkseer last game. I think it's better with Shadow Demon because you can actually get a surround off with the illusions.
Yeah.
You don't just have the lift, but you can actually surround them. You can get an Ion Shell there as well. A little more burst damage, I feel, with Soul Catcher. So if they want to try lane a Darkseer, that could be an option. But end of the day, it's another hero that doesn't have a stun up against a Weaver. And that means, can you actually find a kill?
Yeah, it's going to be hard. I think it's a versatile place for LG, and they can heroes like Juggernaut are there, heroes like even the Clockwork, which they used to run quite a lot for Brax, although now he's no longer playing that 3 position, but he does do okay in the tri-lane. Slark actually cops a ban here, so I guess DK picking up on the fact that LG like to run this hero, and maybe they're not going to have supports that can roam and just shut down the Slarkers easily, and Kunkka, as mentioned, is such a great counter to this hero. Yeah,
DK have a little bit more in terms of a balanced lineup. They have 3 heroes that scale pretty well. All of them can split push decently, and if the game goes late, they won't be relying on just that gyrocopter. They have other options, so they just want to kind of slow down LGD in this laning stage, I feel, and we'll see what DK goes for. Always the Alchemist has been Burning's hero. You can run him as a support, but I imagine we'll see more traditional supports here.
Yeah, absolutely. LGD, one more ban for them. It's a Keeper of the Light ban, so...
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's one of those things which a couple blasts onto a Shadow Demon Visage, they have to chew through a lot of their regen, and Enchantress, no Chen, so they say, okay, QQQ, he'll just take an Enchantress, and if you want to go the Alliance style, you can just run an offensive jungle, gank the Lone Druid a couple times really on, and that's where having an offlane Weaver can actually do okay in the 1v1 matchup.
Now for LGDN, there's always the option to put the Lone Druid mid, and in some ways that'll probably be the safer lane for him, especially on the Radiant side. Very hard to gank that, but we'll see if they look to get creative with the lanes here, and DK, confidence in the jungle game. Effective with the Chen in game 1. I felt there wasn't a whole lot of pressure on QQQ, because LGDN, they failed that first gank, then they went to the defensive tri-lane. They weren't really forcing his hand, so he's able to sit back and farm. But this game, I mean, there's some squishy heroes. Even Lone Druid is pretty squishy in the early laning stage.
Yeah, LGD are going to be very clever and thoughtful with these early game wards of theirs. They need to make sure they have vision of where Enchantress is going to be coming from, figure out whether Enchantress is aggressive jungle or not, and Rsnake, this looks like a farming Visage. This is going to be that sort of 3-position Visage, maybe played by Misery in the tri-lane. Either that or it's a farming Rsnake. Either way, it's an interesting, not your really common way of playing these heroes.
Visage, one of the strongest solos once you get level 6, can pretty much take anybody 1v1. So if they can get him a fast level 6, they can leave him alone. They also have the Lone Druid, and they have a very potent dual roaming combo of their own with Shadow Demon and Rsnake. For DK, it could even be a support Alchemist. He's not a bad initiator if you can just come in under cover of smoke, around the corner. They'll go Earthshaker, so Burning Alchemist looks like an RTK Weaver, probably. And then, unless it's that super solo mid Weaver, but I'd lean towards RTK playing
Slardar.
Slardar.
Wow.
What do you make of this?
I don't know what to say. So it's picked up by Pycat. That doesn't mean it's going to be played by Pycat.
Solo mid Rsnake.
I don't know. They're going to swap. Wait for the swaps. Misery takes up the Lone Druid. I'm not going to...
Not convinced.
Until I see it.
Not convinced.
It could be this, but I guess we're looking at tri-lane Slardar, or do we look at Slardar even playing solo mid against Super's Alchemist?
It would be an okay matchup. I think Alk has the edge there just because you don't have to be close to hit them with Acid Spray. You do to hit the Stomp.
This Slaughter pick, you asked me what I make of it. I think a lot of it's for the minus armor against a hero like Alchemist. Alchemist, very low base armor. You put an amplified damage on him. Even when he pops the ultimate form and has a ton of HP, he will be so squishy. And look at this LGD.int lineup. A lot of physical damage when you can take into account the Lone Druid Spirit Bearer as well. Edict is, of course, mixed damage. So put an amp damage on someone and they could get burst down very fast.
And the other thing it gives them is a frontline hero who does a lot with relatively minimal items. Slard doesn't have a stun, isn't as tanky as something like a Slardar. So for that, LGD, they'll put it in the safe lane. It looks like Pycat will in fact be played, and we'll properly introduce LGD now. They're your boys from Europe, from North America. They've traveled over to China. They've been training there for upwards of 6 months now. What are they going to do here? The International 3 is looming. They're 1-0 in the group stage, but 0-1 in this particular best of 3. Pycat on the Slardar. We'll have Brax handling that support. Visage once again. An early Smoke of Deceit picked up on that hero. 1437, playing your support Shadow Demon, heading towards the bottom rune. G, a bit of a blast from the past here. He'll be playing that farmy Leshrac solo mid, and last but not least, Misery will be handling the Lone Druid.
Something LGD can do is have dual lanes here. They could actually put Shadow Demon mid with the Leshrac, something that I think teams like Mouse Sports used to do quite a bit with these Shadow Demon dual lanes mid. But we'll introduce Team DK. Over on the Radiant side, near the bottom lane, we have Burning actually playing the Weaver, MMY playing the Earthshaker. We've got Enchantress in the hands of QQQ, once again on the jungle role. Super going to be playing a solo mid Alchemist, and then ROTK off-laning the Batrider.
So it will be that solo mid Alchemist, and it goes to Super. Very excited to see this. We could see the early Medallion for him. The Mechanism Medallion, that seems to be a pretty popular build for your utility Alchemist. You normally max the Acid Spray, you max the Unstable Concoction, and against the Lone Druid Bear, this could really help burst it down.
Well, LGD.int 1437 once again has a level 1 smoke. We saw them go for the level 1 First Blood mid last game. Didn't work out for them and set them behind from the get-go. Are they actually going to look for something similar again? Doesn't look like it. Visage is heading top, and Shadow Demon lingering around this mid lane.
It's a very hard lineup to gank. Offlane Batrider, one of the hardest heroes in the game to actually kill just because you can kite around the cliffs. And, well, Alchemist is squishy, but he doesn't really have to be in the lane. If he feels suspicious, which he probably will, not having any vision towards the top lane, and it looks like LGD is running a defensive tri-lane, so I imagine Super won't be too aggressive here, unlikely to die.
Well, MMY with a haste rune actually going to scout up 1437 there, so he knows exactly where the Shadow Demon is, which early on is quite important.
Very slow to react here. He's going to get caught out. This could be trouble, but Super is blocking die.
Oh, the haste wore off. If he got round and did some body blocking, could have gone differently there. G, careful, man. You can't turn around. I would not fight this MMY Earthshaker.
Yeah, I mean, got the fissure block, but G, the wise reaction there, just runs down the river. If Super's level 2, that's a first blood, but didn't quite have it yet.
Well, now DK know what's up with these lanes. Dual lane mid against Super. They'll probably leave him still mostly solo. They'll rotate the Earthshaker every now and then just to sit behind him, but they want Alchemist just getting the solo XP, so they don't want to run a dual lane of their own. They'll maybe go for an gank with the Enchantress later on.
It's a dire side dual lane. Generally, we've seen these aren't too effective because Radiant can abuse the pulls, we'll see, or QQQ can just show up with his Enchantress, look to gank, and gets an early Harpy Stormcrafter. Actually, one of the best creeps in the game to get this early because Chain Lightning does a ton of damage, very spammable, and this dual lane for LGD, they're also against an Alchemist who just sits back and spams Acid Spray, so I'm not sure this is going to be very effective.
And the really good thing for DK is they've got a Batrider in the offlane who is up against a dual lane, but a dual lane he can get XP against. Visage, you've got a Grave Chill, you've got a Slider Stomp, but I don't think they can actually kill off ROTK. He Fireflies over some trees here, just sort of baited out by a sprint there. It's actually good for LGD to bait out the Firefly just at the cost of a sprint.
At the same time, he's got his boots now. That's going to make it even harder to kill him. Brax only level 2, not that much burst damage. Damn it, Lumi, you're still cursing my English, but we'll move along.
OP Harpy Stormcrafter at mid.
Oh, it's doing so much work.
Oh my
Look at the damage. It's still got mana, too. This thing got buffed. They're going to go in now. There's your disruption. Split Earth to Fly does connect on Super, but do you really want to commit to this? The net comes in for 1437. Now your stun being channeled. Unstable Concoction onto G. Drops him low. 2 more hits. Actually, call it 3, and he will go down. He already used his salve. No, he's able to live. Barely survives. The Harpy comes back in. It's going to zap him for the kill. G. Oh, not respecting the Harpy Stormcrafter.
Harpy OP. I was just about to criticize him because when he went for the gank, he wasn't microing the Harpy. He brought in the ensnare. The Harpy was still seen back on the top of the ramp, but then he remembered it, brought it in for the first blood.
No respect. QQQ not getting on his Enchantress, and the Harpy Stormcrafter not getting the respect either, and they're going to pay. And you look at DK right now, burning, farming freely on the bottom lane. Your lead CS are 17-3. Doesn't really need that much help against the offlane Lone Druid. It looks like they actually killed off Misery's Bear. And, well, he's got to resummon here, but... oh, actually, no, sorry, they didn't kill it off. It's just lurking in the jungle. Didn't have it on my map, but
I guess it's
they're zoning him out.
Yeah, trying